Welcome to the Seaboard Central Railroad and the 2023 layout tour video. I'm Tim Garland, owner and builder of the Seaboard Central. A lot's happened since the last layout tour video, so without further ado, let's get started. So we'll start the video here in the Seaboard Central workshop. Here you see I have a bunch of rolling stock and kits stored along with paint and supplies. And here's a workbench. Right next to it, we have an airbrush booth that can be vented to the outside through that window. Alongside of it is the beginning of the layout, which we'll show in detail in just a second. But underneath it, I have another workbench, and this is where I do some programming and also weathering. So what you're looking at is the ADM Complex. This is where corn is turned into ethanol, and this represents the largest industry located on the layout. It even has its own plant switcher, ADMX 622, an old Alco S2 that actually exists in real life, although it's working somewhere up north. But on my layout, it handles this business. This 2-foot by 8-foot module was a great place to start the layout. It has a lot of switching in a compact space, and it actually offered me a chance to get some running in while I'm building the rest of the layout. It's connected to the rest of the layout through this opening in the wall. Here you see in this corner, you got an old abandoned homestead getting taken over by vegetation. The track in the back loads out the tank cars. A little bit more about the layout. This part of the layout is set at 54 inches high, and this is optimal height to me. I love this height. I'd like for the whole layout to be built this way, although that's not going to happen. But I would highly recommend considering it. It's a great height to stand and operate. Now the layout is controlled with an NCE DCC system, but I rarely use these NCE controllers. I basically just use this to set up the consist. The trains itself are controlled with these proto-throttles made by Iowa Scaled Engineering. And basically it's just a miniature control stand that'll fit in the palm of your hand. So all my backdrops are made by Trackside Scenery. You can find them at tracksidescenery.com. He does an excellent job on these photo backdrops. It's hard to believe this scene that you're looking at is only 6 inches deep. What you're looking at is the west end of the line, which represents the line that goes on to Birmingham, Alabama. And this scene right here is over Trout Creek. It goes back into Raglan Yard. This scene right here depicts a track supervisor's office. Even complete with some mud puddles. What that was. Add for a neat little detail. This part of the layout is 10 inches wide and has 4 tracks. Main line, a runaround in the back, and 2 yard tracks in the foreground. In this corner of the layout, I added a swamp scene, just an old pond in the woods. And this was something really fun to do. Add a lot of interest to the layout because not every section of real estate needs to have an industry or track, and this was a way to break things up a little bit. And if you look real closely, you can see some animals back there, maybe even a creature. From what I understand, he's the champion at hide and seek. In the real town of Raglan, Alabama, the largest industry by far is National Cement, and it's actually located back off of the main line. And this is about the closest thing I could get to coming to a cement plant. I thought this was a great scene on the backdrop to add. We see the train shoving out of the yard from the other end. All my track is made by Micro Engineering. The main line's code 83. I got some code 70 on sidings. And here I decided to do something a little different. It's showing an abandoned siding track. It's being overgrown. It's running to that old industry in the background. I wanted to show something out of service. In the foreground, you can see where the remains of an old switch has been cast off to the side. This scene right here shows where some maintenance away items are stored, including something for a signal maintainer. You see his electrical components inside that chain link fence. Here's my representation of the Raglan Depot. I wanted to depict one that's pretty old and worn down, seen better days. Right now it's being utilized by the signal department, just their office. This next scene is a crossing that I added. Goes off into the backdrop. Those signals I found on eBay are made by a company called We Honest out of China. Here we see the train pulling the loads from the National Cement Company. Still a structure I'm working on. Foreground has a lot of scenery items from Martin Welberg. I find them at scenicexpress.com. It's amazing scenery. You can just see how much texture you can get out of that. It really makes that scene come to life. This marks the current end of the layout. You can see where the track just goes off into the weeds, basically. And here's where the main line currently ends. So another thing that's went on this past year is a lot of locomotives have been painted, upgraded, had DCC work done. Most of them was done by my friend Jason that owns Georgia Bigfoot Trains. He did a number of these units, and I don't know what I'd do without him. So if you need a DCC installer, look up Georgia Bigfoot Trains. I highly recommend them. So now's a good time to look at the long-term goal for the Seaboard Central. And this is what I hope for the Seaboard Central to look like, the ultimate track plan. The layout has started in this area. So far, this has been done. So hopefully 6-7 years, I'll have it built, at least built completely out, not finished. The layout is never truly finished. So let's look at some goals for 2024. So 2023, I've done up to this part. 2024, the beginning of the year, January, I'm going to start on Gadsden Yard, working my way right through here. Then I'm going to build the helix and connect it to the upper level. So this is the goal for 2024, to have the entire west end in operation. So stay tuned for that. It's a lot of track work, but I do believe we can get it done. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this layout tour video of the Seaboard Central. To everyone who's been watching all throughout the years to see the Seaboard Central grow and change, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. So until next time, I'm Tim Garland, and thanks for watching the Seaboard Central.